Okay, match number 2 with 5 color Bogles. We're on the draw, and we have no land, so we're going to have to mulligan. And no land again. Let's go down to 5. And this is really awkward since we can only cast one thing. Crumbling Vestige doesn't really do anything for us until we find a abundant growth. And even then we need another green forest, or another green source of mana to be able to turn the Crumbling Vestige into a land that works. Yeah, I suppose I'll keep this hand. And I will dig for a green or a white land so I can actually deploy more cards in my hand. Alright. Can lead off with the Slippery Boggle. Alright, Fume Spitter. Looks like we're playing against that Sylvok Lifestaff deck that we saw a long time ago. And there's the abundant growth that we need, but we need to find a green source for it. If we could have had that turn 1, that would have been perfect, since we could have just enchanted the Crumbling Vestige itself. I kept this hand off the fact that if we have a Favor of the Overbeing resolved by drawing a forest or an Ethereal Armor resolved by drawing a plains, that our hand isn't horrible. Okay, there's a green source. This will also protect us against Diabolic Edict, Chainer's Edict, if our opponent has either one of those. Oh, a Crypt Rats. Okay, so that's going to take out our Boggle before we even get a chance to enchant it, unfortunately. And they'll be able to get back that Crypt Rats with a Grim Harvest, so we need to be on the lookout for that as well. On this turn, we're going to deploy a Glade Cover Scout and an Ethereal Armor and just try to beat down as quickly as possible. Hopefully we can try to make ourselves fast enough somehow that even if the Crypt Rats come back, they might not be able to kill our Glade Cover. It's not very likely though. Okay, there's a Brindle Boar. Start off with this abundant growth, then we can follow up with Favor of the Overbeing. Alternatively, since we're getting blocked this turn anyway, we could take this opportunity to play a Core Skyfisher and pick up an abundant growth so we can redraw a card. Yeah, the Vigilance doesn't really do a lot here. So I think I'll just attack, they're going to block and then sacrifice, and then I'll play Core Skyfisher post-combat. If they can't find a way to get a Crypt Rats back onto the field, then we should be fine. But if they can, then obviously we're going to be in a lot of trouble since they're at a nice 23 life right now and we have a long ways to go before we kill them. See, there's the Grim Harvest, which means Crypt Rats is coming back, and if they hit a land drop, they can wipe out both of our creatures again. There's the land drop. I guess black sources is something that they have to manage, though, since right now they only have 2 swamps. So unless they hit a swamp next turn, they can't actually deal with the full 3 needed with Crypt Rats. So that means I probably should just make it a point to power up this glade cover as much as possible. Okay, an aqueous form. That's very good for us. So I think I'm going to go with Favor of the Overbeing plus aqueous form. And let this abundant growth wait a turn. We need to start getting in for damage, and this unblockability is going to be very helpful. Alright, the Crumbling Vestige, I don't care for that. It wouldn't be the worst draw. Let us deploy everything on our hand, maybe, and possibly some more stuff, but I think we can operate off of the lands that we have right now. We can play a 1-drop and a 2-drop next turn and not be upset. So I want to dig for some more action, maybe an Armadillo Cloak or something. So they're going to sacrifice Brindlebore in their main phase, pay the recover cost of 2 and a black to get back into Grim Harvest, and get back to Trine Elder and play that. So they're looking for a bunch of mana for something. They might be searching for another swamp with that Elder so that they can deal 3 and take out the core Skyfisher, and then maybe use like an Edict effect to kill the Glade cover. So let's see what I can do here. I can play a Abundant Growth in a Favor of the Overbeing. Oh wait, there's an Ethereal Armor. Okay, so I'm just going to go for as much damage as possible. And play this. Should give me like plus, yeah, a whole bunch because the Ethereal Armors count each other. So that damage is going to stack. Armadillo Cloak. Okay, so worst case scenario, the way we're going to lose this game, we could possibly lose this game, is if our opponent has Edict Effect, or, what else could possibly be bad? That's about it. And even if they can do that, then Armadillo Cloak is a pretty good draw. Because I can play Slippery Boggle, Core Skyfisher maybe? And then whatever survives I can put an Armadillo Cloak on. I guess that's fine. I'll put it on top. I'm not going to play Slippery Boggle here. It would protect against 2 Edict effects, but I'm more scared of something else, like maybe like using the Crypt Rats for 3 damage and then doing an Edict effect. I guess they would have to have another black source here, since they have to spend 3 on Crypt Rats to kill Core Skyfisher and another on the Edict. Alright, but they did not have that, so we got to win game 1, despite the mold of 5. Alright, against this deck, we definitely don't care about Scattershot Archer or Hydroblast. Those don't hit anything interesting. Not an aggro deck. We don't want Lone Missionary. They don't attack for a bunch at once, so we don't want Tangle. I think our normal hexproof creatures are good enough here. We don't need the standard bear. The things that are under consideration are Electrickery, which could take out a Crypt Rats before they're ready to spend the black mana to sacrifice it, or Young Wolf, which helps in the face of Crypt Rats. If they Crypt Rats, then the Young Wolf comes back. So what would we want to take out? Alright, so I think we can ditch this Deadweight. Hard to cast, and all their stuff can come back anyway, making the kill spells a little bit worse. I think Young Wolf does just a better job than Fist of Ironwood. I don't want the Ironwood too, so I'm going to ditch that. And lastly, I think I'm going to ditch the Moldervine Cloak. I don't think that's something that's likely going to be good to try to recur versus them. Alright, we're on the draw again. This time our mana is actually acceptable. We have 2 1-drops we can cast, and whenever we draw a second land, we have 2 Sylvan Rangers to find us some plains or some more forests, so this is a keep. Since I'm not ready to enchant the Glade Cover Skull up yet, I'm going to go ahead and play the Wolf first. In case they have like a Chainer's Edict or Diabolic Edict in hand, I'd rather play it first. Alright, there's the Lifestaff. If they can gain life a whole bunch of times with that, that could potentially race us. But most of our really ridiculous draws with like Ethereal Armor and Armadillo Cloak and like maybe one or two other auras are going to outrace them gaining any reasonable amount of life. Hopefully they're not going to hit Shrivel or Whale of the Nim or anything like that anytime soon to deal damage to everything. But they might have that in their sideboard, so we'll see. Okay, there's the Crypt Rats. So, what can we do? Well, actually, I'm going to start by attacking. I don't really mind trading off here. It means we get to trade off before the Sylvok Lifestaff gets equipped. And if they did, that means we could play more things post-combat. Unfortunately, they're not going to fall for that. I could play out a Sylvan Ranger. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. It gets me a white source, and it kind of forces the issue on them using the Crypt Rats. As it is now, we're not putting enough pressure out for them to have to, but now they kind of have to use the Crypt Rats, or at the least play like a 2/2 or something. Otherwise, we get to keep on attacking. Alright, they're going to go ahead and wipe the board. And they have plenty of black sources, so what they're going to do is they're activating it in response to each other instead of doing all three at the same time. So I didn't actually think about this, but it's a cool trick for dealing with Young Wolf. So maybe it's not as good versus them as I thought. That way, it won't wait until Young Wolf comes back before it deals the rest of the damage. Alrighty. Glade Cover Scout. And I think I'm going to be careful versus Edict effects and just play the Sylvan Ranger right now. I could play Armadillo Cloak and for a little bit more mana efficiency, but well, actually, I only have one white source. But I guess if I play Sylvan Ranger, I'll have two white sources, won't I? So yeah, if I had only had one white source, I would have been tempted to run out the Cloak, so I would have Cloak and Armor next turn online. But since I am going to have that second white source because of the Ranger, I'm comfortable playing both of those next turn. Alright, another Lifestaff. The second Lifestaff is where it gets really scary, because now they're gaining 6 life from everything that dies. They only have one card left in hand, though. So if it's not good enough, then... Alright. Start off with Karametra's Favor. It pumps up the Ethereal Armor. And it only costs me a net of 1 mana since it makes the Sylvan Ranger a mana elf. Alright. It is a little bit unfortunate putting Karametra's Favor on your non-Boggle creatures, though. And that's because they can get rid of those creatures, and that powers down your Ethereal Armor. But it's generally worth it, because you don't want to be tapping your Bogles for mana. They could block and then sacrifice there, but it doesn't really matter because I have Trample from the Armadillo Cloak. Alright, they have 1 card in hand. They're drawing to 2 cards in hand, 2 Sylvok Lifestaffs on the board. Can they overcome this Boggle or not? Alright, they play a land and pass. That's a good sign for us. Drawing more land is not a good sign, but... Alright, they fall to 9. No play. Chainer's Edict. Okay, so there's something to be scared of. Do they have something else to follow it up with? They don't. But they can flash that back next turn, so I need to play my Glade Cover Scout here. This counts enchantments, not auras, so I could play the Glade Cover and then play the Journey targeting the Glade Cover if I was sure that they had nothing and I only needed 1 more damage to win, but that is not the case. Alright. They still have that one card in hand. And if they flashback Edict here, they lose. So let's see if they drew something better. Alright, there's Crypt Rats. Problem is, for them, they can't afford to activate it enough to actually kill us. Whenever they kill themselves, or kill their own Crypt Rats with the Sylvok, they'll gain 6, going to 10. Alright. Start off with its Abundant Growth. Ooh, Armadillo Cloak, very nice. Go ahead and journey that Crypt Rats, force them to activate it. I suppose if they do this in response, I'm going to have to hit my own Glade cover, but it'll pump up my Ethereal Armor by 1 anyway. The point is that I want them to have to get rid of that Crypt Rats before combat. I suppose I have Trample on this, don't I? But they could have blocked the 1/1, so it would have been the same damage either way. Oh no, it won't. I'm an idiot. Huh. Well, luckily I can't actually target this Glade cover, since it has Hexproof. Otherwise I would be forced to get rid of my own creature. But Hexproof is not Shroud. So, I'm an idiot. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I just made an enormously bad play. Because I was not paying enough attention. I was thinking I would get that out of the way, but it didn't really matter if I got it out of the way. I should have attacked first. So now I have to somehow beat them despite them having 9 life and a Chainer's Edict in their yard. I might have to worry about game 3 in this case. So a good draw right now would be a Core Skyfisher, because then I could pick up that journey and replay it. And also stop them from dredging with the Stinkweed Imp. We have a couple of turns to potentially draw that Skyfisher. Mold Drifter refills their hand. They bash us for 3. Slippery Boggle. I suppose I can go ahead and play this out and see if they want to take an entire turn to Chainer's Edict that. If not, then I could potentially Aqueous Form, Rancor, Armadillo, draw an Ethereal Armor, and just one-shot them. I don't think that's quite enough, but it might be with the Abundant Growth and the Journey on the board. Alright, Grim Harvest getting back a Crypt Rats. And replaying it. So much for the one-shot plan. And they get to pay the recover cost on the Grim Harvest. Cycle this Abundant Growth. There's an Ethereal Armor. Another Mold Drifter. Unfortunate that I threw away the game like that. Pretty sure I would have had it. Even if my opponent had survived that turn. I didn't do the math exactly, but... Alright, there's the Skyfisher. I think it's too late now, depending on what else is in their hand, but let's see. Negate our journey. All right, well, there's that. Let's go ahead and put the Rancor on. The rest of the stuff can wait. I have enough mana. But even if they kill the Glade Cover, I get back the Rancor, so. Alright, Grim Harvest on the Crypt Rats to bring that back. Replay it. Probably blow up everything for 1 again to kill that Glade Cover. Chainers. Okay. I could potentially keep the Core Skyfisher just to be able to block the Mold Drifters or not block the Mold Drifters and force them to spend 3 life to deal with the to use the Crypt Rats to kill it, but it does not much matter, especially since they can just flash back the Edict, and they also have another Edict in the yard. Yeah, that's it for me. Okay, let's see if I can not mess up game 3. Well, we get to be on the play at least. Alright. We have to draw a green source for this to do anything. And even then, it's not fast enough, I don't think. Alright, I can work with this hand. Young Wolf is not good enough. Next turn, I can use a Crumbling Vestige, make a white mana, and pick up a Crumbling Vestige, so I can keep on pumping mana out of these lands. Or I could just play my Sylvan Ranger, that works too. Alright, gonna go ahead and bash. Now, my opponent let that happen instead of getting a land, which means they presumably have an Edict effect that they want to take down the Slippery Boggle with. Alright, so that's going to give me green mana on future turns. Or on one future turn at least. And here, what do I do? Of course, Skyfisher is going to be better at the moment. I think I'm actually going to keep the Skyfisher. I know this turns on their other removal that's targeted, but they shouldn't have too much of that left in their deck anyway. Alright. Bash for 2. Deploy another Boggle and hope for either another Skyfisher or just a green land, a green source of mana on a land, so that I can actually play this Favor of the Overbeing. Alright, more Edicts. Is it still the same choice as before? I think it is. I think I'm going to keep the 2-power creature that flies. Alright, but they have 3 Edict effects, so it doesn't matter. Alright, draw a Forest. That's step 1. Step 2 is like an Ethereal Armor or something. Abundant Growth. Ooh, Armadillo Cloak. That's a good one. Alright, let's start off with the Journey. Move that Stinkweed Imp out of our way. And hope they don't have a 4th Edict effect or a Crypt Rats. Because if they do, then there goes our only creature to put these things on. Wicker Burrow Elder. Alrighty. They can use that to blow up an artifact or enchantment, which means they can get their Stinkweed back if they want to. And that is indeed what they want to do. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and waste my Armadillo Cloak and my Favor with Overbeam. And just hope that I can do something before they get to flashback. I'm going to go all in here and just basically hope that I get an Ethereal Armor or more creatures or Core Skyfisher into something, but they hit an untapped land, so that means they can flash back the Edict, so it doesn't matter anyway. Okay, yep, that's the game. If I had waited there and kept the things in my hand, that'd be one thing, but the problem is that they have 2 other Edicts to flashback, so I wouldn't be able to find I wouldn't be able to beat their 7th land anyway, I don't think, unless I drew really well. And if I drew really well, that would mean I drew like a Core Skyfish or something, and I would need my mana, so I could play that for 2 mana, pick up the Abundant Growth, play that, play whatever I played off the Abundant Growth, and be able to keep on having a stream of blockers for, or fodder for the Edict effects. Alright, that's game. Go ahead and concede. Alright, not looking good so far. We're on to match 3. Let's see if we can make this work.